Yes, guys, welcome back to the Natural Muscle Podcast. Today, as you can see, we are joined by William Richardson, or Will Richardson, or Will Power, the guy who has
Yeah.
the splits routine. I'm sure we'll get into very shortly. Pleasure to have you on board, and also 2024 Natural Olympia as well. So great title and a great way to actually cap the season off for yourself, mate. So first of all, we'll kind of get started with like what got you into sport, what got you into training, mate, and yeah, start with the start of your bodybuilding journey, really, mate.
I mean, it all started when I try and think back, it all started when I was like 13 and I started doing athletics, right?
Yeah,
So I would go to the athletics track and I'd do like 100-meter sprints, 100 to 400 meters. I did that for a couple months, but I liked it, but it wasn't really my thing. So I decided, I'd try out like martial arts. So I started with judo and then I moved to jiu-jitsu for a couple months. And then after that, I just stopped doing like sport altogether. So when I was 14, I was just like, just like a gamer guy, just playing like video games all day, like, oh, and it was just like, I mean, it's normal for people that age to be like playing games a lot, but I had this like obsessive personality, where I would just be like obsessed with like the game. Like I'd be like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. I'd spend all day on it. And in the end, that kind of transferred over to the gym when I started. So that was good. And now I don't play games as much because it was an unhealthy habit for me. So, anyways, when I started my actual training journey, that's just been just consistent, right? Since then, that was in um, July 20, June 2020. So it wasn't that long ago. But I started with like body weight exercises and just doing calisthenics and like ab workouts at home. And then I started to get more serious in January and February 2021. So I started doing like consistent like calisthenics workouts for like each muscle group, like the chest, like arms and stuff like that. Instead of just doing like, okay, random ab workouts and like running, because I did a lot of long distance running as well on the side because I'm like a big fan of David Goggins. So I would always love to do the long distance runs. And I was just like always trying to hype myself up before every single run. So yeah, because I did move to Portugal actually in July 2020. So I was living in like rural Portugal, so I'd do trial running and then I'd come home, do like calisthenics, and then I'd go to school in like the little village. And yeah, there weren't really any gyms there, so I was forced to just use like what I had. And I remember after school I'd come home. I had a couple weights that I'd brought from the UK, right? Because me and my dad we drove over, so yeah, we could bring like weights and whatnot. So I had a couple weights. I had maybe like 40 or 50 kilo worth of weights, right? And I put them, just load my school backpack up, right? And do like weighted push-ups and like decline push-ups. And it was just a crazy time. I even have a lot of the videos on my YouTube. I mean, not necessarily from that time period, but like from like, like relatively close to that time. Maybe like 2022 is like the earliest videos I have, I believe. But yeah, it was basically like that for a long time. And then when I heard about like a private gym, so somebody owned it, but they didn't like have it like publicly on like Google Maps or anything, right? I heard that was a private gym in one of like my local like villages because the way it is in rural Portugal is like because I was living in like the Coimbra district. So the way it was there's like a village here, and then there's like forest, and then there's like a village there, and there's like a village there, and there's like the town here, and then there's like mountains, and so nothing is really connected. If that makes sense.
yeah.
So I was living in this small village which had maybe like 50 people in or something living there. So there was no gym there or anything. So
Yeah, very
I
raw
remember,
in then.
yeah, I did. Me and my dad, we built a pull-up bar into like the mountain. So yeah, that I got a lot of gains. A lot of my growth was just from that pull-up bar.
Yeah.
You know, just years just grinding it out. And I remember before I had a lifting, before I had a a belt with like a chain on it, a weighted belt.
Yeah.
Before I had that, I remember I'd put like my backpack like on the front of me to do my weight pull-ups. You know, and it was a crazy time, but like I still like grew loads. And people at my school, they were always like, "Oh, you must be like doing something. Like, you must be taking something." Like, and I was like, "No, like I'm literally training like consistently all the time." And I was just known on my school because there's like 200 people at my school. I was just known as the guy who just like trains. They're like, "Oh, Will," and like everybody would speak Portuguese, and I would speak Portuguese as well because I had to learn it. So yeah, I was like that massive foreigner guy. They
Pure
called they
Rocky
called me
training.
like they called me the Englishman.
Yeah, very,
It's crazy.
very.
So anyways, when I heard about this private gym that was well, it was in one of the villages, right? I realized, okay, this is in the village which is relatively close to mine. I mean, it was 15 kilometers away, so it's not super far. But I didn't have anything other than a bike to get there, and I lived like on part of the mountain. So if I was to go to that village, I would have to go down the mountain, and then if I was to come back, if my parents wouldn't pick me up, I would literally have to just cycle back. So most of the time, my parents weren't able to pick me up, so I'd have to cycle back after the gym. And this gym, it didn't have very good equipment. It didn't have many weights, but it still had like some machines, like it had a leg press, it had some stuff. I mean, it's sort of like it would be the equivalent of like a leisure center gym, sort of, but like a bad leisure center gym. So it didn't have much, but I mean, it was better than what I had. Like when I saw all the machines, I was like, oh my God, this is like heaven. So because I was so used to just being in my basement, just doing like, I don't know, thousands of sit-ups and like loads of push-ups, like loads of weight push-ups, and just going from there. But so when I found that there was that private gym, I would have to just go all the way there and all the way back, like after school. And school would start at like it would start at their school system is like the American system. So college and high school are kind of like the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So school would start at 8:30 and it would finish at 5, quarter past 5. So then I would get the bus home and then I would have to go get, my uniform off, like, well, not my uniform, but I'd have to get like my gym equipment on and everything, and then just go straight to the gym. And then after that, I'd have to come home and I'd arrive late for dinner, and everybody, like my parents were like, "Come on, you're arriving late for dinner," and it's just like it was a crazy time. But that's where I made like most of my gains, where I made my foundation of my physique, literally. And the other problem with that gym was at some point, like I think it was in the summer of like 2022, somebody some like I don't know, I think he was a foreigner or something, but he stole like some like somebody, because the gym is above like a restaurant, and the guy who owns the restaurant, right, and the butcher's next to it, owns the gym as well. So sometimes the colleagues who work at the restaurant, the workers, they like leave their stuff up there in the gym, right? And sometimes they just leave the door open, right? So some guy had came up and taken like some woman's purse or something. And after that, the only people who are allowed to go in the gym, the only time you're allowed to go in the gym is when somebody with the key is there. And basically, so whenever I would show up to the gym, right, I would have to call the guy with the key, and then he would have to like come all the way there, and he would just take ages. So I was just waiting there outside, just like I just want to get my workout in. I'd be watching YouTube videos like about like hypertrophy and stuff like that on the side. And yeah, it was frustrating, but I was just so passionate about it, and I'm just so passionate about it that I was just willing to do whatever. Like I don't care. I just get it done, and willing to just always like push myself completely to failure on like everything I do basically, or to 0 reps in reserve. So for hypertrophy, that's like really good. For strength, I mean, probably not, but I'm building hypertrophy. So yeah. Then when I came back, um, I actually, before I came back to the UK, I lived by myself for like 8 months. Right when I turned 18, I moved out, lived by myself. So at that time, I was just like working, going to the gym. Like I'll still have to cycle to the gym, right? So I went to another gym in another village, which was basically a leisure gym, basically. So I'd go there with my friend. I'd cycle there. Then once I got an electric bike, I'd go there, and he would go on like his electric scooter because he was like 16, I was 18. And yeah, he's one of like my really close friends. He's from Holland. Like a lot of people. No, he's not from Holland. Sorry, he's from the Netherlands. Yeah, that's it. I always get those places mixed up. But yeah, he's a really good close friend of mine, and he's doing well. He's made a lot of progress as well because he's just willing to always just go. And I remember we would go when it's like raining, like loads and loads, and we would just like go to the gym, like let's go to the gym. And yeah, I mean, it was crazy times. And those gyms would shut at like 8:30 as well. So I kind of had a time limit, after work or after school or whatever. I'd have to go. It was not just like Pure Gym where you can just go at any time, which is why I like Pure Gym. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy time using like minimal equipment. It makes you really grateful for when you actually have the good equipment because you just know like how to utilize everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I decided, this is the time I'm going to come back to England to like start my career and whatnot, come back to the UK, and literally 5 minutes away from where I live, there was this massive gym called like Pure Gym, right? And I know people in the UK will be like, "Oh, that's just like the shittiest like gym." I mean, but for me, at the time, I was like, "What the hell? Like they have all this equipment and it's 24 hours. Like what the hell? Like this is crazy." And I remember people in the gym. They'll come up to me because I'll see like I'm a big guy and they'll start talking to me, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, this gym, like the equipment's really bad," and like all of that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not the best, but like it's so much better than what I had at the time. And yeah, I mean, now I have all this equipment. I can't imagine like how much I'm gonna grow. So I've just been making progress and progress since I came back to the UK, which was 6 months ago. So yeah.
Yeah. So
And then two months after coming back to the UK, I went on prep. So then I started competing. It's crazy. It's been a crazy, crazy time.
That's incredible, mate. And it just shows you like when people say you've nailed it, like I see so many young lads here like, oh God, I can't progress in the commercial gym. I've got to go to an independent gym. I've got to train at an Ultraflex. I've got to train at wherever. And fucking, if you put the work in, and yeah, the kit might not be the most perfect, but if you train to fail, you train hard, and you have passion, you're gonna grow. And I hope
Yeah,
people are listening to this and saying, Jesus Christ, this guy was dedicated because at the same age, I probably wouldn't have cycled like 10 miles, each way to a gym and waited all night for him to open it up. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
credit to you, mate. And I think, yeah, you're going to surprise yourself how much you're now going to grow. Now you've got access to all this more equipment. So in terms of like competing and jumping in as soon as you like got back home to UK, was like the competitions was something you were aware of before you moved back over, or did you come back and were like, oh shit, like I can do this, or were you always planning on like prepping this year?
Well, interesting thing is, I was thinking about competing in December, so I was like, should I compete? But I was originally going to compete in Portugal or in Spain. But in Portugal, they only have a WMBF Portugal, I believe, I think, and then they have IFBB and whatnot. But for naturals, they only have WMBF. But in Spain, they had like a couple other ones, so I was thinking of doing it there. But then when I decided, okay, I'm coming back to the UK, I was like, my mom kind of, I'm not gonna lie, my mom pushed me into it more than I wanted to at the time because I was like, I don't know if I should compete. I don't know if I'm good enough. Maybe I'll just delay it. And then my mom was like, no, you should compete now. No, and then yeah, and then we got in contact with Opio, and my Opio saw my physique and he was like, what the fuck? Like you can actually do really well. And he was like, you could turn pro this season. And then after that, like I realized like holy crap, like now is the time to do it. So I generally didn't have like I had a loose idea of when I was going to compete because originally I was going to compete, this year in May in Spain, but I just decided not to because I was wanting to bulk and get to like 100 kilo. So I was just like, screw that. But yeah, I mean, I got pretty close. I got to like 97 and a half before prep, and then Opio was just like, you have to cut down. You can't keep going. You can't keep going. Now I'm at like 96 now, so
Yeah.
I'm getting there, but I'm just slowly going up. Like now, my weight and my metabolism has like stabilized. So my metabolism is a lot faster. I have way more energy. I'm really productive in the gym. So I don't need to gain any more weight right now. I just stay as I am, kind of just maintain it, and then eventually I'll start pushing up again. Maybe like after Christmas in January, February, maybe. Because right now, like I have enough, weight on me to just move weight and get stronger and bigger, having energy and just feeling good as well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And like going kind of back to obviously before you entered your 2024 season, what like how did you come into contact with OPO and stuff? Obviously, you've just moved back to the UK. Imagine you've kept contacts through in the UK from your time there, time here beforehand, before moving to Portugal. But what kind of what drew you to OPO to obviously seeing the other federations and stuff? Was it just on the research you was doing on the side, or?
Yeah, it was research. So when you search up natural bodybuilding, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say this, natural bodybuilding in the UK. One of the first things that comes up is like the BMBF.
Yeah.
And then so my mom got in contact with Vicky. We got in contact with her, and she pointed us to Opio and some other guy. I can't remember his name, but we went with Opio because we saw he was like a pro. So we went with him as well. And yeah, we spoke to him, and he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
got to know him, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it just went out. It just went like uphill from there, only getting better. But it was really tricky originally getting on the diet prep because originally I thought I would just lose a bunch of weight if I just cut like because this was back, but I would also have like chocolate and shit. And I thought, okay, if I just cut out the chocolate, I'm just gonna like get super shredded. But I mean, I lost a couple kilo, but then Opio was like, no, you have to be on the diet, you have to follow the diet. So that was like the first week of the diet. Like I was kind of loosely on it. I wasn't too worried because I always struggle gaining weight, so I thought it would be easy for me to lose weight. But then but then I realized later on in prep that it just gets to like a point where it's like it's struggle. It's literally a battle to lose weight. Honestly, it was crazy. But I had so much fun. Honestly, I'm 100% gonna do it again. So I mean, it's been really challenging, like mentally and physically. Going to the gym, pushing yourself as hard as you can when you know you're not really gonna grow. You're just trying to keep the muscle on at that point. But like, I mean, you look shredded, yeah, but like you're just kind of small comparatively.
Yeah, that's
But
natural.
I mean, it is what it is, and it is all part of the process, and it all has its place. Dieting has its place. Bulking up has its place. So it's just about enjoying each phase. And yeah, traveling around the world was just really nice for me, honestly. And even quickly going back to when I started, I hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this guy is like." Just not just people like online, right? But just people like in real life thinking that I'm like either I'm on steroids or like I'm just like some completely like freaky guy. But when I started out, I was the same height as I am now, like 6'2". I was 6'1" at the time actually, but it's basically the same thing, right? And I was only 63, 64 kilo when I was like 14, 15. So that's like really skinny. I was a really skinny guy, and I've just been like, you know, just putting on size ever since. I was never anorexic, but I was skinny. So I wasn't like just this Ronnie Coleman guy who started out at like 80 kilo or something at like 14. You know?
Yeah. Kind of like
So,
most of us starting out, then really kind of in that sporting background and transferring from being a leaner body composition. I can understand. Well, I say I can understand where you're coming from, but I've never been anywhere close to 6'2", mate. But,
uh,
yeah, I don't have the joys on that. And just brushing on what you said earlier about, I think it's amazing how your mum was pushing you to actually get into the
yeah,
sport
100%.
because
You
it's
know, 100%.
yeah, it's. I
Like,
mean, she must have seen the talent you've got there because it's
yeah,
very. You more so kind of hear it from the other side. Oh no, you don't want to do bodybuilding, but here see the potential in you and be so supportive of that and pushing you towards something. Yeah, I
yeah.
think
Like I have probably one of the best moms because a lot of people, not just financially, but like a lot of people they would be like with their kids, I'll be like, oh, okay, let's just do like one show. And then like after like I don't want to do anymore, but my mum was just willing to just like we would just go anywhere basically because she knows that I can win. So and the fact that she was pushing me into it, you know, like technically, yeah, it's my decision, but at the same time, like if I was just like if I was thinking and just if I said there's I'm not doing bodybuilding, like I'm just gonna try and get as big as possible, then I'll compete like later on. Like this would have never happened. So, you know, at the end of the day, like the pushing, yeah, I agreed to it. I wasn't like forced. I agreed, like, okay, yeah, let's try it out. Let's try it. But it took some convincing, that's what I'm trying to say. Like it
Yeah.
took some convincing and like the fact that she tried to convince me, like at the end it helped me out. So I'm grateful for it. Because it literally, if she didn't convince me, I might not even have competed. I'm not even gonna lie. So,
It's awesome to hear.
it's crazy to think about, you know, how little things, just little things can just change like everything.
Yeah, mate. And now you're sat here as, you know, a three-time British champion. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't get much better than that, mate. And that would have
yeah,
been
literally.
something where not achieving that, you might have been like, oh, am I really good enough? And you might have put off your actual first season year after year. You might have been like, oh, I'm not sure. But now you know how good you are. Like you can hold your own amongst like open guys. You now can think, fucking hell, like the next time I do it, I can absolutely be chasing down like a major like international world title and then
Yeah,
getting the pro status because obviously you were very you know, you were just short of it this year. By default, I think at the universe we don't, the teen class is the only one we don't give the pro card to, which is
yeah,
a bit
literally.
unfortunate, but you know, you're there or thereabouts, mate. So yeah, credit to your mum. And now, does she like have a background in competing, or was it just that she knows that you're talented and wants to push you?
No, she doesn't have a background in competing. She originally wanted to do bikini when she was younger, but I don't know what happened. She just ended up not doing it. Like a lot of people want to do something and they just end up not doing it.
Mm.
So, but she has like a sport background. Like she used to do a lot of athletics and stuff. But right now she's not like competing and she trains like a bit. Like I'm motivated her to go to the gym a bit. Because like if I'm the champion, like she kind of feels like, well, why am I not even training if my son is like literally bodybuilding champion? Like it doesn't make sense. But in general, like yeah, she has a slight like sport background, but she just mainly saw the potential that I have. You know, like I'm pretty big, so she was like, you can do like really well. And another thing I noticed was when I was searching up these bodybuilding competitions is well the natural ones, right? They don't really film stuff and post it on YouTube. I don't know why. Like they should just post the competitions on YouTube because when you're looking for the stuff, people want to see like, okay, this is how it works, you know, this is the show, you know, this is like everybody going through the poses and like see and get a feel of like how it's like. You can't really know until you've done it, but still people want to know. So it's weird, it's kind of strange doing all of these high level competitions with like amazing athletes and whatnot and not really posting it that often
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah.
I
I've
feel like
got
they should do that more.
Yeah, I've got to totally agree with you on that, and I know Finn's exactly the same on this page. Like, there's so many great athletes out there, particularly from the UK side. You'll know that from competing internationally, like how strong our UK athletes are. But the lack of kind of promotion around natural bodybuilding it's quite sad to see. But I mean, you'd be surprised it has grown like tremendously over recent years, and it is continuing to do so. And there is like a lot of European international shows that are putting a lot of like investment into the socials, into basically the streaming of the shows, so you can actually people from the outside like yourself coming like new into the sport, you can look and think, all right, this is what bodybuilding is. There's other top level athletes out there, and kind of you've got a bit of an insight into kind of what bodybuilding is because from the outside, most people they don't really know. They don't know what you're getting into until you've been at a show. Like I don't know what it'd been like for yourself. I imagine your first show was when you first competed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I remember showing my work colleagues, right? I'd show them like because that'll be interesting because I told them I was competing and they could tell that I was getting like leaner and stuff like that. And they're like, you know, are you on a diet? Like, what's going on? And they'll be interested in it. So I would show them like some of the videos and like my routine and stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's actually like way more interesting than I thought it would be." Like, I don't know what they think bodybuilding is, but I mean, it's actually really like it's actually like a really cool sport when you actually know what it's like. But I mean, people, it needs to be shown to the public. Like I remember when I watched, do you know Greg Doucette? I remember a couple years ago, I watched one of his videos about like the top 10 like natural physiques of all time, and he just named a bunch of influencers, and I was thinking like, well, now I think back and I'm like, well, what about all of the like pro natural bodybuilders who are like way bigger than all of these guys, you know? And then people might be like, oh, but they're not natural though. But like, how can you prove that those influencers are natural? You know? They don't even compete, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like when you're talking about best natural physiques of all time, it should be always pointing towards like the guys at the top of natural bodybuilding, not just influencers. It's just for like, he's people like that only point out people who have like big followings. It's kind of sad, but I mean, that's just the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think you absolutely nailed it because too many people's view of naturals, like when you see a competition winner, everyone's like, no chance they are because their only version of a natural is this like little my protein influencer who
Yeah.
actually wouldn't even win a UK show, like a regional show. They wouldn't even win a novice show. And yeah, these great naturals just have no exposure because the social media side, we really do need to catch up. So I agree with what you said earlier, like we need more coverage. We need to build more hype. And like Luke said, this has actually got better, if you believe it or not. When me and Luke first got into natty bodybuilding, there was even less than there is now on social media. And that was part of the reason why we started this page. So ultimately, like, the more it grows, the more people believe what you can attain naturally, and the less going to be like, oh yeah, that guy's going to take stuff like, yeah, fuck that guy. So in terms of like your first, like you're looking at the BMBF because obviously that comes up on the Google search. You know, obviously for OPO. Has there been any other natural bodybuilders that you started following before that, or you knew of who you liked, or you got like inspiration from?
What one's currently competing, or just
Just
natural
just any,
bodybuilding in general?
just any.
Well,
Like
my
who
my
did you kind
biggest
of look up to?
well, my biggest natural bodybuilding inspiration, my favorite natural bodybuilder is, I don't know if he's my current favorite, but I don't really have a favorite. But I mean, originally he was my favorite, which is Steve Reeves. I don't know if you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I always liked that like classic kind of aesthetic that he had, and like he was also tall. Normally my favorite bodybuilders are normally like taller because I feel like because I'm tall, I can kind of see my physique through them, if you know what I mean. But if I was looking at somebody like Lee Priest, I'm like, well, this is completely different like proportions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For like an idol, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any idols, but in general, like at that time of like around the BMBF, the first one I did, like my biggest inspiration was Steve Reeves. Yeah, definitely.
It's cool to let you know someone from that era as well, mate. Because for such a young man to be well educated in like the history of bodybuilding, that's really
Yeah.
cool, mate. So
It's
credit
actually it's
to you.
actually Arnold's biggest inspiration, one of them as well, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when he started
He's
the
a
acting
legend.
as well, because Steve did acting and Arnold, inspired him to do that too. So
Yeah,
interesting.
nah, that's class, mate. That's class. A real student of the sport, then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Good lad. Good lad.
Yeah.
Good lad.
Yeah. And
It's
go on, Finn, mate.
No, I was just gonna say it's actually really refreshing to see someone who's like appreciating of an era from decades ago at such a young age. Because normally that comes into it when you're a bit older and you've kind of been around the sport a bit longer. So no, that's really cool. I love that.
That's awesome, mate. And just want to dive back into kind of your early years and the move over to kind of Portugal and the reasoning behind that. If you're fine
Yeah.
with sharing that,
Yeah.
mate. The
Yeah.
obviously a couple of years over and then moving back.
Yeah. Well, just to put it into perspective, like I said, I've lived in Portugal for 4 years, right?
Mm.
So basically, since summer 2020 to, well, I mean, a couple months ago, like 5, 6 months ago. So since the 1st of May is when I came back actually, and the reason why I moved there was because I felt like here, like I felt like I just got caught up in like too many different things, you know, like I was mixing with the wrong people at school and stuff like that, and I was feeling like I just wasn't going to go anywhere. So I went on holiday. I went to Belgium first for a couple months, then we went to Portugal, and I just felt like my mind just literally felt like cleared, and I could focus on myself, you know, and just like becoming my own man in a way, and just building like my own identity, if that makes sense. And well, that's exactly what happened. So like now I know exactly what I want to do in my life, and yeah, I just built myself up there basically. And then when the time was right, when it didn't seem like there was much there for me anymore, like it's in that area at least. I don't know about other areas like in cities and whatnot, but in that area at least, I felt like there wasn't much for me. So I was like, okay, it's time to come back here, start a career, and just see where it goes. And it's only gone up. It's like unbelievable, you know. It's crazy what can happen in a couple of months. I'm really just happy with everything. Very been like a very euphoric experience, and it's been the hardest time of my life in prep because I never realized how hard prep was going to be. You know, I went from just a big gym guy to like a full-on bodybuilder, and I was like, holy crap, you know, being hungry all the time, just having cravings, just of eating like things that you never even liked. Like I would literally like I on prep when I was in like the middle of prep, like in like September, October, like you could have given me anything and I probably would have eaten it, you know, if I just like gave into my impulses, if you know what I mean. But it was a struggle, and it was so rewarding as well. It's such like a rewarding experience when you actually win, and then you just keep winning. It's like, what the hell? And then after every show, I'll be like, am I gonna win this one? I think I got it. I think I got it. And then one of my mates from the gym, you know, because he had actually competed before, and he might compete again as well. So he's as is his name is as is, right? And after every show, I'd be posing like in the pure gym, like a like mirror bike room or whatever. And like when the PTs weren't around, I'd put my posing trunks on. And like we would just be checking out the physique, and he's like, "You've gotten leaner, you've gotten leaner," and I was like, "Have I, bro? Have I, or are you just saying that?" Because like I had prep brain, so I couldn't tell like exactly if I had gotten leaner. And then I remember this one week I hadn't posed in a week, and I came there, and I was like, I had gotten leaner. I was like in my head, I was like 100% I've improved like a lot. And when that happens, you know you've improved a lot. So yeah, it was really exciting. He was always like watching out for me, and you know we were checking out the competition and stuff like that, and looking at the shows, talking about like natural bodybuilding and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just like a crazy time.
That's
It's
brilliant, man.
crazy because now I have energy, so I can feel like more happy and not just depressed. You know, I can look back on it. I can look back on it and actually like smile instead of just being like, oh, yeah, it's good, it's good, with no
Yeah,
energy, you know. So,
mate, that's prep summed up. Like when you're in it, you don't appreciate what you've achieved or what you've done, not just in placings, but like the development you go through and like pushing yourself. And then a month or two after, you're like, shit, like yeah, I can be proud of myself. And then a few months down the line, you'll look at pictures and you'll be like, fuck, I was lean. Like, but at the time, you were like, nah, I look shit. I don't like how I look. I'm not lean. Honestly, mate, that'll come and then you'll be like, fucking hell, yeah, I was lean. So, fair play, like. And so, in terms, obviously, your first show, BMBF, you did a regional, and obviously, you didn't, it was the only show you didn't win,
yeah.
in terms of you won your class. Now, was that something that kind of flicked a bit of a switch in you in terms of, okay, I know I can be better than this, or with the people around you? Like, did Vicky come and speak to you? Because I know on the judges' table video, she was really complimentary about your physique, like in the show review, and we're like, God, this guy came like third or fourth, but this guy is phenomenal. And I thought that I saw a picture of him, and I was like, Jesus, like this guy's a big guy. Like, if he nails it, he's going to be a problem. And then obviously, I saw you in the person at the Heart of England. And when you obviously walked out first category of the day, and I was like, shit, this guy's pretty special. So like,
Yeah.
where was your mindset after that first BMBF show in terms of not placing how you thought? Were the people around you, or was that something where you flicked that switch and were like, right, I need to be better than this?
Well, at first, I thought that I could just probably just come in and not like be like that lean because I have so much. I didn't know how the judging worked. Like I didn't know how how much they would emphasize conditioning compared to size. So I assumed that they'll just see that I'm like so much overwhelmingly bigger than everybody else that I would probably like win it. And I didn't know the other thing. I didn't know that the other guys would come in like completely peeled for like this first show. So I was like, when I saw them, like I didn't think much of it backstage because backstage you can't really tell like how conditioned somebody is, until they're like under the lights and then you look at like footage of them. But yeah, originally I thought like, well, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm this massive guy and I came third. Like, what's going on? But then I spoke to Vicky and they said that like, I spoke to Vicky and the other judges and whatnot, and they were saying like, one of the judges even had me in first because he like favored size more. But they were saying basically like we had you in second, but it was like apples and oranges. So you got third place, but if you came in like more conditioned, you would like win easy, basically. So I was just like, okay, well, if that's it, then I just got to come in more conditioned. And really, when I think about it, I had only been on prep for 6 or 7 weeks at the time, so I wasn't like super shredded yet. But everything was going like according to plan. Like my weight was going down, and it's just we didn't expect like the level of competition. Basically, me and my coach, we didn't expect that it was going to be like that for the first qualifier. And yeah, I mean that's basically it. I was thinking in my head like, okay, so the first show I didn't get it, you know. Of course I had the negative thoughts of like, oh, this isn't for me or something like that, right? But I was thinking like, okay, the first show I didn't get that, but if I get a bit leaner, which I will get leaner because I had 2 months till the finals, then like I'm definitely gonna win. But I always, as soon as I was getting leaner and leaner and leaner coming up to the finals in September, I was thinking in my head like, oh, what if I don't win? Like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And then I'll be looking in the mirror, posing in the mirror with like a massive pump with like striations all across my chest and stuff. And like, my friend Aziz, he was like, "You're gonna win it. You're gonna win it." And then I was just like, "What? Oh, what if this? What if that?" But yeah, I was pretty confident at that time because I just won the Heart of England afterwards. I was afterwards, right? And yeah, I mean, the plan was really just to get leaner. I wasn't too worried, but it did affect me slightly because it was my first show, so I wasn't sure how another show would go, if you know what I mean. So I hadn't gotten the gist of like natural bodybuilding yet, but then a couple shows later, I kind of knew what it was about, like how much they favor conditioning over size and how much they favor size over conditioning, and like shape and whatnot.
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course, different judges view, different things, but yeah, and presentation as well. Like I just got better at presenting my physique, right, and showing, doing the poses and hitting the poses right. So that definitely made a difference as well. Because if you can't show your physique, like you're just screwed basically.
Yeah.
Unless you if you come on like obviously like insanely huge and shredded, and even then, like if you can't show your physique, I mean, somebody who's smaller but has a good amount of size, a good amount of leanness and definition, they would beat you if
Yeah.
they can present their physique really well. Because a lot of people from the outside of bodybuilding, they always think this is the bigger guy's going to win. They're like, okay, the big guy, he's just going to win. But no, it doesn't work like that. So that's something that I learned, which has been very interesting. Yeah, just shows you how much conditioning, can affect a placing. Like you can literally take down a guy who's way bigger than you if you're more conditioned, and as long as you have a bit of size.
Yeah, more often than not, it's the guy backstage who looks like he's not even a competitor that comes out there and he just hits a
Yeah,
pose and you're like,
literally.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, brushing on to kind of your presentation, and it's something that stood out from the start, and your confidence with that. It's been evident that you've obviously put the rounds in with that. And where did your kind of inspiration for posing come from, or did you research that, or was you just kind of in the Pure Gym studio and just trying things out and seeing how your physique looked really?
I mean, it was a bit of both. Like originally, when my first two shows, so the August show and the first September show, the Heart of England one, right? Originally, for those, I had like a more of like a classic physique style posing routine because
Mm.
that was originally what I was going for. But now I know that I'm quite big, so like ideally in classic physique, I feel like they want like generally, especially in UK DFBA, they want like the bigger guys to go in bodybuilding, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think. And I feel like my shape just like suits more like for bodybuilding. But yeah, my posing routine and everything. I mean, I kind of made it up myself, but my coach did help me with my first routine, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of it came down to just experimenting how my physique looked in like the mirror and whatnot, and just seeing different poses. Like I'll go with my friend as is. We would just like, get a pump, and then I'll just be like in the gym with like my bodybuilding trunks on in the posing room and whatnot. The lighting there was like crazy, so like that's where like all my crazy Instagram pictures come from, like where I just don't look natural whatsoever. But yeah, we would just try different poses. I'll do like like the Frank Zane poses, like all of those poses, right?
Yeah.
In the gym, like the classic ones. I do the bodybuilding ones, like how to hit the pose, like with transitions and stuff like that. And we'll just be like posing for a while, and then he would just tell me like, okay, yeah, that looks good. Like I'll be like, what do you think's the best pose for me? Like what's like the best position that I look best in? And he would just be like, I think, well, all of them look pretty good, to be honest. But like your side chest looks really good, like your most muscular, the front lat spread. So it was just really figuring out what looked best ideally, and then just putting together a routine. I remember for my Terminator routine, I went to see Opio one time, and he put on the Terminator music, like the rock version of it, and my mum really liked it. And he was like, "Yeah, this music is like really good. You should post to this." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna." So I found that track, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do it with that track. So I just picked the Terminator 2 music. And then I remember when I was taking a shower, and I was like, I have to think of a posing routine just before I went to the gym. And it literally took me 30 minutes to think of like the full routine before I had to even practice it. And I was like, that is perfect. That is literally perfect. Everything is on point. And then as soon as I went to the gym, got like a pump, right? Then went and practiced it twice, and I literally got it like perfect in like 2 tries. Yeah, I was really happy with just how it flowed. Like it had the bodybuilding aspects of it, like the most muscular and everything, but it also had like the elegance of like the kind of classic physique with it. And then it had like the splits in the end for like the wow factor and everything. And it was just like really, I was so happy with that routine. I was surprised it took me 30 minutes to come up with it on prep brain. And my body was in like survival mode. It thinks I have to win the show. So it's like come up with the best posing routine. Yeah, I mean it was crazy. That's my favorite routine by far, honestly. How I started, I thought like my mom gave me the idea of starting in the position of like the Terminator when he like spawns into the film or whatever. When he like teleports back in time,
Yeah.
and he starts like in that ground position. And so I start there, then I walk towards like doing like the quad walk and front lat spread, and then I do the like I don't know, I don't know what you call that pose. Is it like the?
It's not the archer,
I'm
is
not.
it?
No,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Oh
Is
yeah.
it the archer? I think. All I know is it looked like really cool.
Yeah, that's all that matters, mate.
That's all I knew. Looked really cool. Boom, and then go into the
Yeah.
3/4 turn because it gives that like classic physique element, and then from that side chest. Because the Terminator, he's originally who played the Terminator was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So going to the 3/4 turn, then to the side chest is like such an Arnold thing to do. And then, side tricep, and then like going behind like the rear double. Like, oh my God, it just gets me hyped when I think about it. I don't want to practice a routine now because I got a bit of like, a bit of fluff on, so it won't look the same.
Yeah.
So I don't practice it anymore, but sometimes I replay the videos. I'm like,
Nah,
one day
mate,
I'll do that
good.
again and I'll look way better.
Yeah, always watch back, mate. Don't
Yeah.
a routine that good because I was there in the audience. It was brilliant. It was one of the best, if not the best, of the entire show, easily. Yeah, watch it back over time, mate. That's why you do it. And thing is that even no matter what category you're in, classical bodybuilding, I think the routine's the time for you to express yourself. Like, who are you? What's your personality? The passion comes through, and I could see that straight away when you're doing something like that. So, yeah, it's great to hear how that routine came about, and I just find it a bit unfortunate when some people like half-arse the routine, like they just make it up on the day, and it's a bit like, come on, that's your 1 minute. Like all your family and friends are there, you're getting your photos done. Show yourself, even if you're not the best poser in terms of like the most like dancey kind of person, but just express yourself. Like use that time to show who you are. Like and yeah, yours was very memorable, mate. So I'm glad I got to see that one because I know obviously you did a few different routines
That
throughout
was
the
the best one.
season.
That
So
was the
yeah,
only one you needed to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Nah, that's class.
That's
That's
like me,
brilliant, mate.
the embodification of me, like the classic and like the bodybuilding style. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that's brilliant. That's what as it should be, as it should be. So obviously going on from like into the British Championships, obviously you had like 3 and 4 weeks or something, wasn't it? So, you know, in terms of around then, was it a case of you were pretty much like at your best, or did you feel you got better and better as the season went on? Because I felt that from seeing it at the Heart of England, obviously you were even better for the UKFBA finals because I didn't unfortunately get to the BNBF finals. Did you feel that you were in a position to kind of right, I'm now at the look, or did you feel like you had to just keep going in between those British
Well,
finals?
I always had you always have prep, like that prep brain where you always want to look better, you always want to get leaner and leaner and leaner. But yeah, in between the Heart of England and the British finals, like I wanted to push my physique like a lot more because I wanted like more striations and whatnot. So yeah, I did I did push my physique a lot harder, especially towards like the middle of the month, right?
Yeah.
Because originally I was working like as like a lifeguard, right, at pool.
Right.
But because there was like an issue that happened, right? So I had to go and have like a probation meeting, right? Because when I was on the depletion, right, like weeks prior for the Heart of England show, right, I couldn't have like any energy drinks. And at this time I was kind of like living off energy drinks. Like, I was addicted to caffeine. Like I'd have to have like monsters like all the time, like 2 or 3 a day. And it was just like insane. It was an insane time because my job, I could wake up at like 4:30 and have to go to work basically, or I could have to go to work at like 2 in the afternoon. So I was just like cranked out of my mind all the time. Then I have to go train. So anyways, so the problem happened was basically the like I was sitting in like my lifeguard chair, right? And like I could like barely stay awake because I was on like depletion. I had no energy drinks or whatever. So like a couple times, like it was like I almost fell asleep. And then my manager, my boss, he saw that and he was like, stay awake, mate, stay awake. And then after that, we had like a probation meeting, and basically like I literally like lost my job because of like the depletion. So I was like, okay, like I just want to go like balls to the wall right now because I just got my personal training certificate. So I was gonna quit the job anyway, a couple months later. But at the time, I was just like, okay, now I can like fully focus on it, right? Because I didn't have like anybody to like try and please at work and whatnot. So yeah, that week where I lost my job, like I made an insane amount of progress. Like it was actually crazy. I lost like 2 kilos in like 1 week. Like it was actually insane. Like I don't know. I think it was like kilo and a half. And in 2 weeks I lost like 2 kilos or 2.5 kilos. So I made like a lot of progress. And I was looking at my physique and I was like, holy hell, I'm getting so much better. And like Aziz, he was like, holy hell, you got shredded as hell. And yeah, after that, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm ready for the British finals as long as I have this look. And I actually decided the week after I lost my job, right? I think this is quite common with bodybuilders, to be honest. I think like a lot of bodybuilders, like in prep, they probably like just like have problems with their workplace and whatnot. I tried to tell them, like my performance would improve, but like they were just like, no, they don't understand. So, anyways, after that, I decided I would do like many more shows. Like I would do the UK DFBA finals, right? I would do the DFAC one finals and just like try and get to the natural Olympia. And it was only because of that I decided to do that because they wouldn't give me enough time off of work to do more shows. So if I had still worked there, I would have only been able to do the BNBF finals, probably. Like that's probably it. Afterwards, I decided to do UK, the FBA, WNBF, all of these shows because I was like, I just want to show my physique to like the maximum amount of people and just do like just give it everything I can. And my coach, he wasn't sure. He was like, that's a lot of shows, a lot of back-to-back shows. That's a lot of peaking to be doing. And I was at the time, I was just like, I don't care. I'll just do whatever it takes, right? But then later on, when I realized, okay, this peaking is like actually really hard. And that's the other thing is like after the British finals, right? I couldn't really get leaner because I would be like into depletion and then I'll be on like another peak, right? And then sometimes we wouldn't do a depletion, we would just do like a slow carb up. Sometimes we would do other things. But because of a carb up, it's like every week back to back. And then I did the universe, so that's another show. Like I couldn't really get like much leaner than I was. So I kind of just like handicapped myself with all the shows, which was a bit frustrating because I wanted to see like my physique like evolve more. But I was lean enough in the end because I just have so much size and like fullness. And yeah, my best look I believe was when I like just dehydrated and just showed like the grainy fullness. I think that was my best look. So that was basically all I needed to win, at least in my category. But if I got more shredded, maybe I could have won in like I don't know juniors or something. But it's not my junior season, so I'm not bothered about it. Yeah.
Definitely the potential there, and it shows silver linings, mate. Obviously, well, it shows like strong character as well from losing a job. Obviously, it's not ideal losing a job through from prep,
Yeah,
but it's good that you
yeah,
obviously
cool.
have that. Well, I say that backup, but you already had your mindset to obviously step into coaching and PT anyway. So you was
Yeah.
kind of like taking that next step, and obviously you didn't expect to lose your job from them, but you was like, right, okay, what am I gonna do from this? I can either turn it into a negative or can kind of
More
like
positive, exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because I was planning on leaving in November, but
right.
that would have been the end of the season basically. So, I mean, at the end it all worked out really well. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, definitely capitalized on that. And then are you personal training from the same pure gym that you're in there that now you don't have to avoid the the PTs in the posing room when you're there in your
Yeah.
truck, or are you down at
No, I don't do personal training there. I just do personal training. I like fitness first, and
right?
I like meet people there and just do the training and whatnot. Just trying to like get clients and whatnot. And I'm open to do coaching online or training online, but mainly I prefer to do it in real life because it's just easier to teach people in real life than it is online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Pleasure to hear through from that. And glad everything's kind of worked out from that, because it's good that you've obviously mentioned through what you was doing for work and the struggle through with that, because we're actually wanting to actually dive into what you was doing for work prior to that. Obviously, with the move back to the UK, then almost starting a career, then deciding to obviously start a business like towards the tail end of prep once you're at your leanest. So like, yeah, hats off to you, mate.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that shows some commitment, and I'm assume that it's just going to keep continue growing, obviously, from the experience you've already got from your first season, whether you're helping lifestyle clients or competitive clients. I'm sure you will do in the future if that's an avenue you want to kind of dive into, mate.
Yeah, so much sacrifice goes into it. Like I remember when I was like going out on dates and stuff and I'd take my prep food and like the girl would be like, what is this like crap that you're eating? And well that didn't work out in the end, did it? But I just remember just like the sacrifice that go into prep, but it all makes the victory like so much sweeter. And like thinking back, like, oh, I overcame this, and I would always tell myself when I was in like the near the end of prep when it was getting really tough, and even in the middle of prep, when I was pushing myself really hard, I'd just tell myself like, this is literally the time where like everything I've ever done, has led to this moment. And it's like all of the hardship that I've been through, when I was training and whatnot in Portugal and just doing all of that crazy stuff and how I developed my physique, like all of it has came down to like how, tough am I to go through all of this. So I would just try and use like all of my mental strength to just get through it because it's been really tough, honestly. Because
Yeah,
I went from just, eating whatever I want to going on like a really strict diet. So it's just been it's been tough, but I mean, I'm so grateful and glad that I did it. And I'm definitely 100% gonna do it again. No, I'm not one of those guys who does prep and is like, I'm never doing that again. No way. No, I'm doing it again. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah, I
because
wouldn't
you're
have
too
doubted that.
talented to not.
Yeah, too much talent to not do it, and I love doing it as well. So I want to be at the top, get as big as possible. You know, I got some plans. I want to get like a 300 kg deadlift. Get probably get like a 180 kg bench. I mean, that's not bodybuilding, but I just want to do it. It's fun.
Yeah, but you're not
Yeah.
exactly going to not grow muscle doing that, mate. So
Yeah, exactly. You know,
if you do
like
that, it's
I doubt my chest would get any smaller by doing 180 kg.
no, not at all, not
Yeah.
at all. So just to like recap about what would you say number one your favorite look of all the shows you did was, and then number two, what was your favorite show in terms of experience
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
time you had? So what would those two answers be?
Yeah, that's a good question. My favorite look was probably the DFAC finals because I felt like my physique there was like very good. Like I was very lean, right? And I felt like my posing was just like on point on that show. Like I felt like my posing was very good. Up in the morning show, I was like a bit like wobbly on my feet a little bit, but later on, like I just corrected it and it was just fine. And yeah, the lighting of the show was also very good. So props to them for doing that. That was definitely my best look, and I felt most confident of that show as well. I felt like I was just really like pleased with what I brought and everything. Um, and my favorite show, mm, I do. I think it was honestly the DFAC finals. I do. I didn't really enjoy every single show. I enjoyed, you know, the Natural Olympia because I went to America. I always wanted to go there. And it's crazy how I like went to Vegas. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was younger, I play. I'm sure you guys know this game, but Rainbow Six Las Vegas too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember I'd used to play that with my brother, and I'd like be like looking up the skyline, like where it's all pixelated, and you can see like all of the buildings and everything. And I was just like, oh, whoa, I want to go there, you know. And when I went there, I could only like think about that. I was like, what the hell? Now I'm in Vegas. This is so weird. And I'm there, like I'm part of a show in Vegas. You know, like how many people can say that they're part of a show in Vegas? Yeah, I mean it was crazy, and that's where all the bodybuilders go to do the Olympia and everything. I mean it was crazy. I did enjoy it. I met loads of people at that show. I did enjoy it a lot. But from the competitive aspect, and just the first like new experience that I had leaving the country to compete somewhere. I mean, it's definitely DFAC finals as well. The competition there was really good. You know, when you have really good competition and you win, like it's just so much better. Yeah, it definitely. I believe that show was my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
And with DFAC as well, we all know like in terms of like the actual stage production and that certainly adds to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
throughout all of your shows, mate, I wouldn't argue and say that the competition's been easy for you. Yeah, you've definitely well, as we all know now, the competition is just continuing to grow and grow and rise and as you kind of brushed on before, we just want the coverage to continue to rise and rise to highlight the athletes like yourself, like the quality that we do have and what natural bodybuilding is and what it has to offer. From a teenager doing pull-ups with a backpack strapped to the front of him to a couple of years, well, 4 years, 4 years later to going to Vegas, competing, being part of a show there, going overseas, European, multiple titles. Like, yeah, it's great what the sport can offer, and what you can achieve with committing to something, and not just inspiring like the younger people getting into the sport, but likes of me and Finn who've been around, kind of looking to someone like wanted to compete for a number of years or been around the sport for Finn has for a number of years now. Yeah, huge inspiration, mate, and it's very good to hear. I want to dive into kind of what are the kind of plans for you next competing with bodybuilding, and another sub question off that is, will the robe return, mate? Because seeing you at Leverhead at the BNBF British Finals, mate, in the robe, it's clear to see that you're just chilled out, like enjoying the day, taking it all in, and then you jump up on stage and you're like, wow, yeah, okay, he's on.
Yeah, yeah. The plans. I don't have concrete plans
Mm,
for competing. Like, I'm gonna compete 100%.
yeah,
But I'm pretty sure, like I'm 95% sure that it's gonna be 2026. You know, because I feel like that would give me enough time to like put on like more size and whatnot. And like a lot of guys who are doing teams, they'll compete now in 2027. But I'm already so big and overwhelming that like I don't need to take that much time off if I don't want to. I could and get like bigger, but or I could just come in on like 2021 and just do like really well. So, I'd rather, get back into it and just see how the physique looks. And yeah, it'll be 2026. I'm not sure if I'll do as many shows, maybe. I mean, it depends. Like maybe I'm pretty sure in 2026, like I'm like 100% sure I'm just gonna go pro in 2026 because like I'm gonna be like a lot better. The plan is to get to 110 kg like lean, which I know I can do. And then if I cut down, I'd probably be like 90 plus kg like shredded, which is like really good because of the last shows I was at 88 to like 90 kg.
yeah,
But I think if I could come back like probably like 95 kg shredded, so like if I can do that, like I'll be like one of like the bigger bodybuilders. So yeah, and I believe in myself. A lot of people would be like, a lot of people who don't know me yet, so they're just like, oh, you can't do that. Come on, like they see that I'm a big guy, but they just don't know me yet. So yeah, I just never in doubt. You can always improve, and yeah, the natural limit. This natural limit's not even a scientific term, so I don't really believe in a
yeah,
natural limit. I mean, things slow down, but there's always a way to get around it if you really want it bad enough. So yeah, and I haven't been training for very long either, and I've just got access to all this pure gym equipment. So who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, so
Absolutely.
2026, probably on the latter end of the year. So like August, September, I'll probably be like doing shows around that time.
yeah,
And I'll probably go international as well because it's just so much fun meeting all the people. Everybody's like so nice as well. Seeing other bodybuilders going through all of that. And yeah, about the robe, like, yeah, I think it's awesome. It was my mom's idea as well. My mom's got a lot of good ideas. Like, it just looks so cool. It's like I'm a Jedi. It's like, what the hell? Honestly, it's so epic. I want to see if it's going to
yeah.
be a trend. Maybe more people come in with robes.
No.
Oh yeah,
We need to get your mum on the pod as well, by the sounds of it, mate.
yeah.
Yeah,
What a legend she has been.
she's really cool. Yeah, she's really cool. She's out. I think she's on a run now. I think she's out somewhere on a run. So
Yeah, it's great to hear that you've got a great relationship with her as well, mate.
yeah.
Uh, very, very good to hear.
What about? I have a question for you guys. Like, when did you guys like last compete, or if you compete before, right?
Yeah, so both of us would have been in the 2022 season. Finn later on than me, um, in the season with him doing UK DFBA International Finals was your last show, wasn't it, Finn?
That yeah, that was my last one. Yeah,
So two
so
two years ago now.
2 years.
Yeah, and
2 years.
yeah, and quite a lot has actually changed within the sport now. Like we have had a lot more coverage even since back then. So if we can continue to kind of rise in the right direction and get more coverage on shows like we do on some of the international ones, of AMBF. I know with AJ has put a lot of investment in with MBW International, and MBW as a whole. So hopefully we can get more eyes on the sport and um, get more eyes on talents such as yourself, and yeah, just bring more people to the sport who like great athletes who have potential. Because yeah, that's what we want effectively.
Yeah, I did see like a podcast on the NBW, and like I watched like most of it. Like where AJ was talking about like what's going on in the future of like natural bodybuilding for 2025 and like beyond.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was interesting to see because I watched like a lot of the podcasts as well. Just, you know, if I'm doing like cardio or just doing whatever, just watch a podcast. And yeah, I also noticed that when I was at the Natural Olympia, they had like improved the venue a lot. Like it was a lot better than it was before. And they're also coming out with like the INBA are doing like some app or something where you can see like who's like at the top, which is going to be like interesting, you know, like for the INBA at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be like interesting to see. Apparently, it could be coming out in 2025, but maybe later. I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. At the end of the day, all we want is the sport to continually get better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, me and Luke might see you at a show or two in 2026 because that's when we're planning on both coming back. So,
Yeah, man.
hopefully, if we go okay with our improvement seasons, we might be in an overall together, which would be cool. But
Yeah,
if we
possibly,
are, don't stand next to me, please, because I don't want to get embarrassed like that. Because I think you'd be definitely smoking me at that stage. So, but it's all good. It's all good. We do it because we love it. So mate, like if you come back 2026, like you'll be taking some names, and like you say, you've just got to give yourself time to grow now with all these new exercises you've got. Like how much you've already grown. If you have another, imagine you have 6 months of that. Imagine 2 years, like
yeah.
what you can grow to and how much more muscle you can put on. So yeah, mate, I think you should absolutely just invest your time training properly with quality equipment and see what happens because I think you'll stun yourself at how much you've grown because how much you've grown already off limited equipment is absolutely remarkable. So yeah, mate, give yourself that time and you'll come back as a firm favourite for overalls and pro cards, not just your class win.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, when they hear that, like recently when I was at work, right, one of the personal trainers there, um, he was told that, you know, I'm like a world champion and like I won like a bunch of shows and whatnot. And he was like, what, like natural bodybuilding? And the other guy was like, yeah. And then he was like, he sees a photo of me and he's like, you're like C-bomb. You need to take steroids. You need to take steroids. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no. And he's like, I would take them if I was you. I'm like, no. Like, I'm already making loads of progress. There's literally no point. I don't see a point of doing that. And it's just like, I mean, even C-bomb said that he should have waited like later for like more time before he started taking, because he started taking when he was like 18, 19 or something. But he said he should have waited for like till he was like in his early 20s. But even then, like I don't see myself really taking anything like ever in my life. I don't know what would happen when I'm like, you know, in my late 20s, but maybe I would, but I'm not sure honestly. And I feel like I can get so big naturally that it's just gonna be like people look at me and be like, what the fuck? I mean, so I'm
Yeah.
not really worried about size. I'm making progress, and yeah, I don't need a quick result. You know, the results are already coming fast enough, to be honest. Honestly, so yeah.
And the rest.
That's it. And it's really great to hear as well, mate, that you're obviously you're not like drawn in through to that. Well, you've been able to kind of like highlight and showcase what is achievable naturally. Obviously with like hard work, like favorable genetics as well. But what is possible and what you can actually take from natural bodybuilding by competing overseas, and that's just within your first season. Like there could be so much more to offer, and obviously there's going to be more coverage on shows now. They're going to be more put into production. And yeah, like it's only going to continue to rise, natural bodybuilding, but also with having athletes like yourself keep showing up. So the level's just going to continue to rise and rise. The standard is going to continue to rise and rise, and what's available on offer is only going to continue to rise, even from looking at sponsorships, deals with that, etc. And maybe soon enough, Greg Duchette, mate, he might be looking at yourself as one of the top natural bodybuilders. Instead of some
Yeah, I could imagine he would just be like Like me and my friend Aziz, when we're at the gym, right? Sometimes we would joke about it. Like if Greg Doucette saw my physique, he would just be like, "He's not natty," and start screaming on camera. Like what the hell? And
Yeah,
he
Will's
always
on the
says,
natty or not.
yeah, he always says like he is like 99% of the time he's right. Like what's he basing that off of? Honestly.
No,
Doesn't
it's just
even
clickbait, mate.
know.
It's just clickbait. And yeah,
Yeah, literally.
going through to your training, mate. Are you simple question? Are you a push pull legs guy or are you a bro split guy? How does that look for you?
Yeah, I'm more of like a push pull legs person. I do legs push pull, or it doesn't have to be push pull legs. It could be,
Yeah,
legs push pull.
a variation
But
of it.
yeah, I mean that's sort of my split, and like I train 6 days a week, and just add in volume like whenever I feel like it's necessary. Like a lot of the time, I'm adding in more volume now because I feel like pretty strong now. I've been feeling quite fatigued over the last couple of days, but in general, like I feel pretty strong. So my like lifts are going back up. Like I think my hormones are starting to like stabilize. And I just feel like I'm in an optimal position to just add in more weights and everything and just more sets. And yeah, I generally don't experiment with like new exercises very often. I just stick to the basic things I've been doing that have just been working. There's nothing really plateaus. So that's the main thing. Like I do heavy deadlifting once a week. I do conventional, no sumo, thank you. So I don't do sumo deadlift. Conventional deadlifts, I do that. I actually don't use a belt. I might start using a belt, but I like not using a belt, and that just helped me like grow like my lower back as well. Because a lot of the time when I see myself on stage next to the other guys, you can kind of tell who does like heavy lifting and who doesn't, because they kind of have that empty spot in their lower back, but I just don't have that. So you can see like the erectors coming through.
Yeah, that's one thing
And
that does stand out, particularly with natural bodybuilding. And I'll hold my hands up. I was one of them guys beforehand, and it would showcase not just in the lower back, but from you like your whole posterior chain. So that's why the
yeah,
long season trying to bring that up, mate. So yeah, if you've not
it makes a big difference. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you've highlighted that for one. So yeah, do your deadlifts if if you're not taking anything else from that, because it definitely pays off, mate.
Yeah, I do squats as well. So I have a slight like dorsiflexion problem in my ankle. So I can't go really far like knee over toes kind of. So it's sort of when I do a squat, it's more of like a lower bar kind of squat. So I get more like glutes and hamstring activation and a bit of lower back than I get comparatively with like the quads. So now I've started doing hack squats as well, which will help. And I also do like bench pressing twice a week. I might do it 3 times a week and just do like one. So I do it twice a week. Like I could do 2 harder sessions and then do like one session where I just practice like the form. Because if I want to skyrocket my bench press, I just have to get really good at like the form. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
Yeah.
yeah, the other things like my isolations, I always do my lateral raises. Like that's probably one of my most impressive lifts. It's like my lateral raises. Like a week ago, I got 30 kg for 10, which is like a lot.
That's
Like
mental because
Pretty good.
it's like I was doing it like this, you know,
yeah, that's crazy because
not
most
not like
your
arms
age
out like this, but like that.
can't. Yeah, most
Yeah,
people your age are trying to get 30 kilos as a shoulder press PB, and they'll see you they'll see you lat
yeah.
raising at the side. Okay, now
Yeah, like sometimes people like if I didn't do that up here gym when it's really busy, people just look at me and they're like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, is that guy on trend?" Just
Trend confirmed.
your local world champion natural bodybuilder here, just coming in. But
yeah,
yeah,
Mate, you'll be
normally
influencing
I do it
people.
with 24.
what was that again, bud? I didn't get that.
I said normally I do it with 24 because 30 is just like a bit of like form is degrading, a bit more traps into it. So I know I normally do it with 24, and then I like dumbbell pullovers. I like that, like the rib cage expansion.
Yeah, yeah,
That's like an old school thing.
Yeah, I was going to say there's definitely that old school mentality behind that. With quite a bit of your training, but it's obviously evidently paying off, and you can see that within your physique, mate. So it's yeah, it's great to hear from that, and yeah, it goes to show these big lifts they do pay off for sure.
Yeah, I also train my neck as well, so I just put a plate on my neck. I just put a plate on my head, and just do like neck and that because you can't have like a small neck. So
The old
yeah,
Mike Tyson. That's what
Neck,
he did.
yeah, literally,
the 90 neck killer.
literally.
Yeah. Nexzilla. Yeah,
Next,
that's what it is.
the Colombian guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Rubiel, of what his name is. Yeah. But ultimately, we've heard it here first that Will's going to have a bubbly chest because if you're doing 180 bench, mate, your chest's going to be fucking massive in 2026. So
Yeah,
don't be surprised,
I'm aiming
audience.
for. Yeah, that's what I'm aiming
Do
for.
not be surprised.
yeah.
Good lad. Good
Yeah,
lad.
it's crazy looking back. I mean, I think we've all got that meathead mentality within us. And when I was in my teen years, and Finn was probably the same, would go for benching as many times a week as possible. The difference is, me and Finn didn't look like you as a teen, so you're definitely doing something different to what we do.
Yeah.
The one thing I do notice about my training style comparatively with other people is that, like, literally on everything, including on bench, like, I literally go until like I can't like anymore. Like, I don't know how to not train hard. Like, I'm forced to just train hard whenever I'm at the gym. Like, I remember when I was doing like depletion training, and it just felt like so pointless. I was at the gym, and I was like, yeah, I know I'm trying to get the glycogen out and whatnot. But it just felt like I was there just doing nothing. Like I'm just training like an idiot for like 3 days.
Yeah, that's
You
the
know,
worst part of prep, isn't it?
it sucks, honestly.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it serves a purpose for sure. Serves a
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure having you on, Will, and like
Yeah,
great, obviously diving into your like your backstory, mate. And we've uncovered a lot of things that we were completely unaware of, mate. And it's great to hear, very motivating. And it really highlights like what can be done with minimal equipment and being appreciative of what you do have, and you can still make progress no matter kind of where you're at with things. And yeah, very good to hear.
like
And
that,
you've got a very mature head
that's
on your shoulders for a youngster, which is awesome, mate. And you've definitely not let the recent success of the year get to your head. You know you're talented, but you're not kind of like, right, okay, I'm going to be this arrogant arsehole about it. So yeah, super nice to hear, mate.
yeah. Like that's actually the reason why I won at the Natural Olympia. They gave me the like inspirational award because I was giving out awards to different people. So I actually won the inspirational award because of the backstory. Yeah. And I probably
Nice.
wouldn't have won it if my mom like um hadn't had just told like a couple people about my backstory because I don't really go around, like, oh, I did this and that because I don't want to be like that guy who's like, I
No.
came from nothing, bro. And people are like, okay, yeah, right. But like my mom, I didn't tell her to, but she just like spoke with like a couple people who were there at the venue, and then those people happened to be like actual like people who like helped set up the venue and everything. So they probably spoke with like other people, and then other people heard about it, and then yeah, it led to me winning that inspirational award, which I wouldn't have won. So because
Yeah,
you at the end of the day, nobody knows your story until it's told. So
no,
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
it. From
yeah.
bagpack to British champ times three. So
I'm
put
pretty
that
sure
That's
aside.
that.
technically since I won the DFAC World one, and then I won at Universe and I won at Natural Olympia, technically those three are world championships as well. So that's three world championships because
Yeah, I
Natural
think.
Olympia is world champion. So
Yeah, I think you're the only person ever that I know as a teen who's done that, like ever
yeah.
in history. So there you go, mate. Hold on
That's
to that.
Guinness Book of World Records right there.
Could be, mate.
Definitely.
I mean, our good friend Josh won 3 British titles, but he didn't go to Worlds, did he, Luke?
No, I didn't go to Wales. So yeah, mate, you've ticked them all off, and yeah, what's to come next? We're soon to see, mate. And yeah, I'm sure us as well as many others are excited to see what the future's to bring for you in the sport, because I'm sure it's very bright for you, mate. But yeah, pleasure having you on. Pleasure you giving your time to us, and I'm sure yourself as well as many other listeners will appreciate listening to this, because yeah, you've not only inspired a younger crowd, but some of the older lot like me and Finn as well. So yeah, it's super great to hear from you, mate.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It's been really nice, and yeah, I mean, if you want, I have a YouTube channel, so
Yeah,
I'll be doing updates on that as well, and like, you know, you got my Instagram and everything.
yeah, we've got that. So we'll put your handle in there. So yeah, plug along, mate. Spot on. So yeah, as always, guys, we appreciate you for listening. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.